Hello everybody, greetings to all my friends in Ponto SJ and everybody in Portugal. Just some brief reflections on the now famous remarks that Pope Francis has made in a documentary called Francesco, which was shown just recently in Rome, and in which he spoke about the right of gay people to be part of a family, and that he supports the idea of a ley de convivencia civil. That's the expression he used in Spanish, ley de convivencia civil. He didn't say ley de unión civil, and I think that's significant because he's talking about, I think, what he's urging here is what he urged as Archbishop of Buenos Aires in 2010, when the Church had to respond to the same-sex marriage bill of the government of Nestor Kirchner. And it was, at the time, the debate was framed in terms of, government bringing in a gay marriage law and the Church being in complete opposition, a classic polarization. And Bergoglio made the case there to his fellow bishops. He said, look, it's very important that we don't oppose the wrong things here. Of course, we believe that marriage, including civil marriage, should be exclusively for a man and a woman, because a marriage is a unique institution and it must be preserved as such. A same-sex marriage is an impossibility. But at the same time, it's important that the law and the state provide support for non-marital relationships which also exhibit characteristics which are good and which serve the common good, which are stable, committed, long-term relationships over time. Now, the kinds of relationships that he had in mind were maid and aunts, people who care for each other, two sisters who choose, for example, to live together, all kinds of possibilities. And of course, gay people would be included in that. But what's important here is not what kind of sexual relationship is involved, but the long-term cohabitation, the fact they're in a relationship of responsibility and caring. And the importance, therefore, that partners in this situation should have the right, for example, to visit the other in hospital and be treated as family, or, to take another example, to inherit property when one dies, to automatically inherit their property, or to be protected from abuse, because once the law recognizes the union as a union, then all kinds of laws come into force. So what Cardinal Bergoglio in Buenos Aires was advocating was that. Now, it was an impossible position for him to sustain because the other bishops, or many of the bishops, pointed to the 2003 document of the Vatican opposing any kind of legalization of same-sex unions. And so it did not prosper. But I think this is what he's talking about now in this interview, una ley de convivencia civil. And I don't want to take away from the fact that he specifically mentions gay people. He's asked about gay people, and he says gay people have the right to a family, and I think that's very important that he talks about gay people. But I think when he talks about the ley de convivencia civil, he's talking about not civil unions for gay people, but something much broader, which has not, on the whole, been introduced in Western countries. See, what's happened in my country, in Britain, but in most other European countries, is that civil unions were introduced exclusively for gay people, and therefore they created a kind of second-rate marriage, which satisfied nobody. The church didn't like it because it looks like marriage. Gay rights groups didn't like it because they said it's a kind of second-tier marriage. So rather than that, Cardinal Bergoglio and now Pope Francis is advocating something much broader. And I think this is the position that he's advocating. This is typical of Pope Francis. He doesn't change doctrine. This isn't about changing doctrine, but it is about moving the ball. And it is about opening our hearts and minds, so that we don't just think in binary terms. Marriage good and all other relationships, not deserving of legal consideration. No, marriage is special. It requires a special status in law. But that doesn't mean we should use that as a pretext for discriminating against or excluding other kinds of non-marital relationship which are also deserving of legal support and protection. So classic Francis approach. Don't change doctrine, but open hearts and minds, apply the gospel, apply the